Morning, welcome to Whole View Farm. We got some rain last night. It is March 9th and things are starting to green up, which is a lot earlier than what we had last year. Well, rain gauge froze last night, but we did get almost a half inch in there, so I think I'm gonna leave this upside down here to thaw out and empty out for the next one. This is our Rammobile. We got the idea from Justin Rhodes and our wonderful neighbor who has access to a machine shop, was willing to get it fabricated for us. They did a wonderful job. So we got the door here, these nice big tires. This is just a little stand I built that we can strap a bucket to. And then we added these fence sections here just to offer a little bit of a windbreak and a little bit of a shade protection for them. So we're here in what we call the control area, which is it's starting to green up. This is nice. And we had the rams in here and we just rotate them around. We'd move this thing once or twice a day. Of course, getting into November, late October, November, we put down some hay for them so you can still see some of that. We've got some angle braces in the corners. We've got a chain on here just kind of hooked on so we can move it around to the different sides, and that lets us hook up to the four-wheeler or the side-by-side. And a lot of times we can push it by hand, but if we're going uphill it gets a little tough. And worked out really nice. You know, we've got our rams and our ewes close enough together that we need some pretty sturdy fencing to keep them contained and separated. So plan is that the rams will go back in here in July. At least the rams we're keeping for the next season. So we'll lamb in mid-May is the plan, and then by July we got to get those ram lambs and adult rams out of there before the ewes can cycle back and breed out of season. So we only plan to do one crop of lambs every year, and for the health of the animals, and that'll be, you know, shooting for that May lambing when the fawns are dropping and things are greening up. Yeah, we've really got some nice green grass starting to show up here, starting to poke through. So excited to see that. I'll try to find some pictures of what this field looked like when we first bought the place, because it was in pretty bad shape. They had been using it sort of as a sacrifice lot, continuing. It had the cattle like mineral feeder up here, and there's a big pile of composted manure in the middle that we've since tapped into and moved and spread around. But it was very weedy, tons of bare soil. So you can see in just a couple of seasons of having the sheep rotating through here, yeah, we've got some kind of thicker patches of hay. So I'm not too worried. The grass is finding a way through that. And starting to green up. So yeah, didn't take long to get this land rehabilitated with managed grazing and some hay additions. And yeah, it's so exciting to see all this green coming in earlier than expected. Even through some of this thicker hay, it's starting to pop in. I'm looking out over the triangle. We were grazing this, well, we put them in there in December. We put one of the groups of rams in there, and we moved pretty quickly through it. And this is an area we've had a lot of trouble with thistles. They come up really thick. You don't see them right now. One of the things about thistles is that they pop up a little later in the season, end of May, getting into June. And so one of the things we want to try this year is just staying off of this area, letting the grass get a little bit taller, and hopefully that'll shade out the young thistles. If we don't mow it, don't graze it, the grass should hopefully outcompete those thistles a little bit. So it's just something to try in trouble spots. I think also, you know, we've laid a lot of this down. The first year we didn't, before we had animals, we just kind of rolled everything over. Like I used our four-wheeler and a trailer and just drove around in circles until all these 6-foot weeds were laid flat on the ground. And that helped feed the soil, you know, that helped get things started. And out of that came this just carpet of grass. I think it was mostly fescue, unfortunately, but it did kind of go from a weedy pasture to a grass pasture at that point. And as we've done our rotational grazing and gotten some hay on the land, we're starting to see more and more diversity in the grasses. So that's really nice. Same thing here. It was in this control area. It was just out of control that first year. About 6 foot tall, totally covered in all kinds of weeds. And yeah, we just drove around in circles, pushed everything down. I just was thinking, what do? I don't have the animals. I don't have a good way to mow this yet. And we thought about like what the organic farmers do with a rolling crimper. And I don't have a roller, but hey, I got a four-wheeler and a trailer, and that pushed everything down and just got it on the ground, which kind of, you know, broke the stems and killed off the living stuff, and then got everything's gone. You know, there's nothing left after getting some animals tramping on that matter and feeding some hay on top of it. You don't see any of that residue from 2 years ago when I did that. It's basically just grass at this point. Of course, there's forbs in there. Not as many as I'd like. I would like to see some more the variety of wildflowers and plantains, dandelions, all those good things. But boy, for what was a field of 6 foot tall thistle and all kinds of just nasty stuff 2 years ago, it's a pretty amazing difference. Looking at our training lot here, it's a little bit behind the other areas. Obviously the animals were here more recently, and we put a heavier hay load down, especially up here where it gets overused, you know, being close to the barn or barn access. And I gotta fix that piece of door trim again. Yeah, you can see there's still a thick mat of hay up here, and then we are starting to get some green up here. Then right behind the training area where we started grazing through January, early part of February, yeah, it's not as green as what we're looking at in the control area, but it's starting to recover. Well, looks like everybody survived the rain okay.
Yeah, but turn around. It's a cool angle. I don't know, when you get them, you see where all the hay is.
Oh yeah, we wanted to look at where we've grazed in the past here and put all that hay down. There we go. We wanted to look at this area we finished grazing up, and we put a lot of hay down over there. So I'm really anxious to see what that's gonna look like in next year. So we wanted to record that, kind of see that pattern of hay and see what kind of difference that makes as the grasses come in this year, and we get some shots after everything greens up.
I got a dog head in my belly. Oh, yeah, pet the dog. Oh, yes. They need love at the same time. Alright, can I have the bin?
Yep. We are going to set up our water tank here. We don't use this big one. It's about 25 gallons or so.
And the kids made it.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some third graders out here helping, and we got them to cut this barrel down, taught them how to use some tools, so that was fun. Do a little farm camp every year for the Waldorf school. Yeah, we don't use this one when it gets too cold because we don't want it to freeze solid. That would be difficult to move and deal with. But when it's only going to freeze a little bit, we can get away with it. And it gives us enough water that we don't have to constantly keep refilling, so that's nice.
Yeah, so we move it, I don't know, every couple of weeks.
Well, every week or so, yeah.
Yeah, not a couple, once.
Yeah, so we'll open up thin strips as we're strip grazing down here. And then before we back fence, which we plan to back fence today, exclude some of what's behind us so that they're not on their manure.
All the moves we've had, and then they have to walk back to water. But there's not any trails or anything, which has been working out nice too.
Yeah, we stay ahead of that so they're not, and part of that's just our flock is small enough, it's pretty easy to manage. But as we grow, we'll have to be more diligent about that, keeping the trails from forming up. But yeah, so we got our water here. It's kind of on a high spot because you want to concentrate your manures on the higher ground. And water is one of the things that's going to concentrate manure, so especially with cattle, but also true with sheep. We got our bale and roller sitting there. I unrolled about a half a bale yesterday, so they still got some of that to work on, and we'll take a pitchfork and spread that out a little bit for them, make sure they can get to the fresher stuff.
I am excited for them to be in the draw. That's going to be so fun with the goats because we have so many big down trees in there that they'll have like stuff to rub on and stuff to jump on, and I don't know, it'll be fun.
Yeah, so we're just about to get to this next paddock, which will be on the end of these trees here. So they'll get a little bit of this sheltered draw area, and hopefully these goats will clean up some roses in there for us. That's what we're hoping for. So I think my phone's going to die.
But the goats will knock it hard, hopefully.
Yeah. So we'll get this water filled up. I got to bring some more posts because with the elevation change, I want to go, when you have a lot of up and down, you want your posts closer together to keep the wire contoured to the land. So I need about 5 more yellow posts to finish off that next paddock split, and then we'll open this one up, and it'll be their first taste of this this little treed-in area there. So
4 months. Yeah, about 5 months.
It's been, I think we were there about 4.5 months ago. We had them in the trees. So yeah, plenty, about 4 months is really what we're going for, is at least 4 months of rest so that any parasites in the manure have a chance to break down. Yeah, it's going good. March 9th, and we are still grazing, which is amazing. We were looking at pictures from last time of at this day last year. We had snow on the ground and we were feeding hay. So
yep,
we'll take it. So we got our buckets in the back with the lids on. Bring 5 buckets out, and that's enough to fill our blue bin plus a little bit. So. We got this spot here. It's starting to erode away. This is the gulley. Look up to the right, that's the barn and stuff is up there. We're kind of in the back 40 here. And yeah, we got this gulley, and it's really starting to erode pretty badly right here. There's a drop off about 3 feet down. And I just don't want to lose, as we go up that way, I don't want to lose all this pasture if this continues. So going to try a little experiment here. We've been cleaning up pasture, cutting up and picking up all this rotten wood. Not really any good for firewood. We're going to cut some of these roses back and just start packing that rotten wood down in there and see if that helps slow down the erosion a little bit. It's a good place to put it, if nothing else, so it can finish rotting out. Alright, so we cut some roses out of the way. Not too many, because they actually do a pretty good job on erosion control. That's one of the reasons they brought these darn things here in the first place, was for hedgerows and erosion control, but they're pretty awful. So we just cleared out enough to give ourselves some working space here. We'll start throwing the wood in.
Oh, I see some buds. I gotta get rid of
Some
those.
buds, yeah, they're starting to bud out. Hopefully the goats will like them, start eating them.
Huh?
Hopefully the goats will like those buds and start eating them.
I know. I'm just trying to get rid of all these buds.
You're doing a good job. So we got our wood in there. We'll see. It's a bit of an experiment. You could put rocks in something like this, but the water's just going to go around it and start carving out the sides. So thinking, my hope is that this will kind of lessen that drop and the impact on the bottom that's undermining it, give it some cushion to stop this action of carving out this gully, and maybe break down and turn into like a mulchy material that will hold some of that moisture up here higher on the land for longer, let it soak in for longer. And this is just one load. We're going to keep going. We got tons of this kind of junk wood that's not really good for firewood. It's laying all over the ground, and that creates a more fungal environment, which is not necessarily what you want for pasture. So I think getting this stuff cleaned up will make it easier for us to get around the land, make it easier for the animals to get around the land, open up more square inches for grass to grow, and promote a more bacterial dominant environment, which is what we want since we're raising animals. So we're not going to clean up every little stick, that's for sure. You want to leave something for the bugs, for the beetles, but we got a lot, and I thought, boy, why don't we just stick it in here and see what happens. So I'll be sure to come back here in a few months or a few years and see what happens, see how successful this is. At least, if nothing else, it'll give us a good kind of measuring stick for where that erosion stopped and if it's continuing. But I think we're going to get a couple more loads here and just fill that right up to the level of the grass, so there's no waterfall effect here. And who knows, maybe we'll keep going like this down the gully. Kind of depends on what this turns into. If we can get it filled in and get some grass to grow on top of it, that'd be ideal. But I think that's going to take a whole lot of material, so I doubt we'll ever get that far. But if we can at least slow this down, I'll call that a win. So we're in the back corner area. You can see back there is a big red oak where a giant branch fell down. We still have a bunch of wood on the ground. That'll be good firewood. I'm still working on cleaning that up. Our friend Mike came out and helped us drop this really nasty hanging branch there, huge one. But yeah, out here I did some brush mowing. You can see there's areas where the roses are just kind of taken over. We were able to brush mow a lot of this, but a lot of this I can't get the mower in because there's all this woody material kind of laying everywhere. This is what we're picking up and we're throwing in that draw just as a place to put it and maybe stop some erosion. We'll see. So here we go, load number 2. Yeah, well, rotten old log there, and if that wasn't in the way, I could knock down all those brambles and we can get some grass growing here. So here's our second load. And tried to get a little closer, but kind of hard to back in here. Here we go. So we're up here on the hill with all the apples by the pond. Thought it'd be a good place to grab some of this wood that's on the ground. I've been cleaning up some busted off branches. Figured we'd throw that in our mix, and found something kind of interesting. Big spot where a branch broke off here, and you can see a pileated woodpecker has been digging here. Boy, they make a huge hole. We've seen them out here a couple times, and I've found holes like this a few times, and you can see all the giant wood chips they throw on the ground when they're digging like that. Just amazing. I've never seen them go after an apple before, so that's kind of interesting. But love knowing that they're out here. Don't see them too often, but we find these once in a while. Cool stuff. Okay, we are on our third and final load for this afternoon. Boss over there says it's break time. Time for lunch. Yeah, it's filling in pretty good. We're gonna throw one more load on here and then call that good enough for now. I do have a bunch of this apple that I cut up is actually still green, so we're gonna hang on to that. I got a brisket thawed out in the fridge that needs to be smoked, so it's kind of perfect to find a bunch of apple wood that I can use in the smoker. So we'll be sorting that out as we unload. Well, here you have it, 3 loads. Brought it right up to this level, so hopefully that'll slow the water a little bit down. At least capture some soil, slow down the erosion. We'll see. Imagine it's gonna settle down quite a bit as that wood rots and breaks apart, but we can, there's plenty more where that came from, so we'll see how it works. Load up the rest of this apple back in our cart, and we'll be out of here. So over there on the left at the bottom there, that's the draw we were working on, and then there's another one here, and they both kind of come together and feed into the pond over there. And this one's pretty deep as well, and it's going to be a lot more challenging, because instead of wood, the people of yore decided it'd be a good place to throw, well, there's some wood in there, but there's also some kind of appliances and a huge roll, about 4 tons of barbed wire, and I don't know, there's probably a car in there. So I do want to get that cleaned up, but it's gonna be a process. So one thing at a time. Oh yeah, it kind of forks over in this side. There's some kind of part of a bale feeder in a washing machine, and some more stuff. I can't quite tell what it is from up here. Yeah, a lot of roses, so good times. Well, just finished up evening chores. Fed the llama her grain. She's over laying down now. Put out some hay. Refilled the water. Pretty simple. Everybody's looking good. Hey, goats. Dogs have dog food. Oh, there's the llama. Okay, I was going to check on her because she was laying down. A lump on the ground made me a little nervous, but all is well. A little chilly today, in the 30s. A little windy. What do you want? It's March 9th. Hey, Gertie. Good girl. Yeah. Hey, Griffin. Good dogs. Yes, you are. Petting 2 dogs with 1 hand. That's a trick. All right. Oh, thanks for watching. Just another Saturday out here. We're having fun.